Galactic Standard Date. Year 11356. Day 96. Sol Standard Date. 4th of the 8th, 3267. Basilisk watched as Teldraconis demonstrated her knowledge by bringing a small amount of energy around her head and suffusing it with her mind and eyes. Her eyes didn't go green like they normally would have, simply through saturating her body in veil energies through a chant. Instead, she looked no different than before. What I did here is a bit different from the normal energy saturation that comes with casting something offensively or defensively. Think of this as a passive skill. The amount of energy you suffuse will greatly affect the results, so it should be precisely measured. It could take a few days for you to grasp the ratio of energy you need to use for yourself. Once you manage to get a proper ratio going, it should allow you to overlay your senses with veil energy. The first time you overlay your senses it can be somewhat jarring, so I'll stay here until you manage. Basilisk gave her a quick nod before he started to pull energy up from his core. He tried to pull up as little as possible, but waves of energy radiated out around him with a low hum. He brought that energy up to his mind and eyes, but all he got was a green glow in his eyes and some flaming hair. He frowned and looked at Amaranth. I've been drawing upon and using veil energies as I wanted for literally over 1,000,000 years, but I couldn't succeed in using it for a small task. Isn't that a bitch? God, the sheer irony of it. Can you do it? She raised an eyebrow. I probably could. There's no reason for it, though. After all, Father blessed me with these eyes that can do everything without veil energy that hers can only do with the veil, so I never saw a reason for me to learn it. Because we share souls, you should have started experiencing that already. Your body is changing slowly, but it is changing. He narrowed his eyes. Wait, is that why I can see the little sparks in the center of anyone who has been in contact with veil energy or died? The little green sparks? That's what that is? She pondered it for a moment before shrugging her shoulders. I don't remember when I was first born. But as for the sparks you mentioned, I think you're probably talking about souls. Souls glow brighter the more powerful they are. You're most likely only getting the basic information. The skill that Miss Little Draconis here is teaching you will still come in handy for you. Draconis nodded her head. Yeah, it would still be helpful if that's all you can see. Besides, looking at your soul, it seems that you only use the wild and destructive nature of the veil to produce flames for the most part. It can do a lot more. Though fire is the easiest and one of the most destructive aspects of it. You've already dabbled in some of the other uses though. Rifts use space, that beam of light you shot obviously used light, and the hand you formed to fix the moon used the powers of creation. Creation was thought to be impossible to use, however, so I won't be able to teach you how to use that particular skill. Fire is the easiest ability to use with destruction and it's pretty effective against the fleshbags called Desarians. So I can see why you've been using that so much. We do too. Basilisk cupped his chin and lost himself in thought for a moment. After a couple of minutes, he shrugged and stood up. Well, it sounds like veil energy can be used like old-school magic. I remember being able to use a super nuke by using a science I understood with veil energy in between, so... he said, as he turned towards an empty area of the veil. He brought a decent amount of energy from his core and moved it into the clearing. He focused on charging the particles' nature and reforming them into a different molecule. The wisps of pure energy suddenly shook before the green wisps coalesced into a small emerald green ball of water that dropped into the dry, cracked surface of the veil and soaked into the ground. Teldraconis stared at the scene with wide eyes before she snapped her head back to Basilisk, who was just scratching his chin with a contemplative look. Did you refine the veil energies without a reactor? He cocked his head at her. What? No. I tried to make water. I mean, it looked like I was successful too. It just soaked right into the ground. It was a funky green colour, but everything else that deals with the veil is too, so that wasn't much of a concern for me. She brought one of her legs up to her head and smacked it into her forehead. No. You just made Viridity. It's a refined version of the rampant veil energy. That's why that massive cloud of energy you brought over there turned into a small ball rather than a fucking ocean. A single particle of veil energy transformed into water would create enough water to fill a glass of water that would fit your hands. That massive cloud of it you sent over there could have covered a fucking planet in water. Sorry. She quieted down and shrank into herself. Oh no. I just yelled at gods like they were new students. Oh no. What the fuck was I thinking? I'm dead. I'm going to die because I couldn't control my shock at the sheer absurdity of the situation. Basilisk looked up a little and stuck out his bottom lip. Definitely tried to make water just now. Wonder what would happen if I tried to make steel. Typically, just condensing the energy makes some pretty strong blades. If I actually rearrange the molecules and try to convert the material... He brought another sizable cloud of energy into the clearing, and rearranged the particles before condensing them. The area lit up with a bright green glow as the energies fused together and transformed into a new substance. He had to stretch his concentration to the limits as he held the molecules in place while condensing them into a solid object. He let out a small sigh and then brought the finished product over. The massive cloud of energy had been turned into a bar of emerald green metal. It was about the size of Teldraconis. The 4-foot-long bar slowly dropped into Basilis's hand. He turned it over in his hand a few times as he inspected it before shrugging his shoulders and saying, "Ha! Neat," before he tossed it up into the air and swung his sword with all his might. The edge hit perfectly in the center of the ingot. A loud crack resounded through the veil, and green lightning shot out from the point of impact as the bar of metal sailed through the air at near light speed before colliding with a mountain a few miles out. He flew over to the mountain and inspected the massive crater in the side of it. It managed to go a few hundred meters through veil-hardened stone. It was practically weightless too. Wonder how it held up." He walked into the crater and made his way down to the center. After a few minutes, he hit the end of the crater. A completely unscathed, emerald-colored piece of metal was sticking out of superheated rock that had dimmed to a low orange color. He yanked it out and flipped it over a few times, looking for any scratches or dents. "Wow. Not even a scratch where I hit it? I could armor plate a ship with this and the Azerians wouldn't stand a fucking chance. Not to mention it might be able to pierce a shield made of veilfire. Oh, this could change a lot. The only question is, how would we work it into a suitable material without having to rely on me?"